What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Your guys, Cody and Derek, back for another episode, guys. And today we are previewing Colts versus Chargers on Monday Night Football. Colts come to this matchup 4-9-1. The Chargers vying for a playoff spot right now. So, guys, we got to start by talking about the most recent news the Colts have come out with. Nick Foles, starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football. I mean, Derek, we've already talked about kind of our thoughts on Nick Foles being the starter, but we got to talk about how does that impact the offense, man, and what they're trying to do this year, especially against the Chargers, who do have a lot of talent on that defense.
Yeah, I mean, we've always seen Nick Foles come into a role like this, where he comes in, hope doesn't seem very high for his team, but he comes in and gives the team a new light. That happens a lot with Nick Foles. So, maybe that is something they're trying to accomplish at the end of this year with all hope seeming lost. Maybe they think Nick Foles will be the saving grace at the end of the year sort of thing. It could be one of those situations. For some people, they certainly would hope not. But Nick Foles comes into this, it's going to be interesting because, the defense that you're seeing with the Chargers, we've seen this Charger defense not live up to the hype this year for mainly the reason that they haven't been healthy all year. Joey Bosa was out at the very beginning of the year. And then, who is it? Derwin James has been out for a while. JC Jackson was out from the middle of the year all the way to the end of the year. He's not playing. Some of their biggest names, have just not been there, and it really sucks for them. But we saw this last week against Miami, that this defense still has it. If they're locked in, they got it. They can still absolutely wreck people. So it definitely will be interesting to see how they show up against this Colts team. They're going to be facing Nick Foles, who has a completely different mindset and how he runs things and how he does things. So maybe that will throw off their defense a little bit. But at the end of the day, I still would probably take the latter on the Chargers defense, especially with some of the guys they might be getting back this week.
Yeah, Derwin James, we'll see on him. I know, he obviously had that quad injury that's sidelined him for most of the year. So we'll see if he, I don't know if I don't think he'll probably honestly play this week.
He might
just because he hasn't even practiced yet. But Joey Bosa is probably more of a.
They said that he's likely, he's questionable to be back this week. So.
Okay. So, I mean, that's good. And then, we'll just, monitor the progress of a couple other guys as well. Just as a note from last week's matchup, Sony Michel was out as well, Derwin James. And then really, just a couple other, random names as well for the Chargers. And so they seem relatively healthy, all things considered, coming into this matchup. Colts seem decently healthy too. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor, that's the big one. He's out for this game, out for the rest of the year. So it'll be definitely Deion Jackson and, Zach Moss. They'll be running the show here for Indianapolis. And they didn't look great a week ago, but, I thought there were some moments where they had, they looked like a decent pair of running backs. What do you think the Colts are going to have to do against this Chargers defense here to establish the run and, give Nick Foles, enough balance on offense, I suppose?
I think that the best thing you can do to try and counterbalance this defense is you want to try to, not cater to the speed that the Chargers have on the edge, right? Especially, if Joey Bosa is going to be coming back and, Khalil Mack is in there. Mack may not quite be the player that he once was, but he's still a wrecking ball. And you got to try to take advantage of the runs up the middle. You want to try to establish a dominance in the middle of this front because even though they aren't weak in that area, that's far from their best attribute. So ultimately, it's how you want to run this. You can't be running zone schemes to the outside. It's not going to work that way. You gotta pull some guys. You gotta run a lot more power. You gotta run a lot more traps. You gotta run a bunch of different things to try to free up some space in the middle of the field to allow these running backs like Zach Moss and Deion Jackson to kind of eat away at the defense to make sure that Nick Foles has the ability to run play action at the end of games.
And they're definitely a very exposable run defense as well, right? They come in to this matchup 28th in terms of yards allowed, and then 31st actually in yards per attempt allowed. They're averaging 5.3 yards per attempt allowed. So, you definitely could see the Colts have some success there with one of these two running backs. I mean, obviously, if it was Jonathan Taylor, you'd say, man, Jonathan Taylor's going to have himself a day most likely. But we'll see. Colts haven't necessarily been great at running the football at all this year either. So we'll see, who wins that matchup. And it's kind of hard for me, even when I see, the Chargers aren't very good on defense. They're pretty solid against the pass. When I see like the Chargers aren't good on defense, I just don't have the confidence enough in this Colts offense to take advantage, right? Because Minnesota, you look at Minnesota, the worst passing defense in the league. And then what do the Colts do? They don't even throw for 200 yards passing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's been the Colts' problem all year, right? Not taking advantage of other teams' weaknesses. And, and even then, we tried to in that game, but they were locking down Alec Pierce. You weren't throwing the ball to Paris Campbell or to Michael Pittman much. You weren't even really throwing it to the tight ends much. Jelani Woods definitely was having an okay game in that time, but even at times, we still gave up sacks when we didn't need to. And again, the passing offense as it is just seems lackadaisical. And it's been that way all year. It just doesn't seem like Matt Ryan has ever been able to get clicked in with these guys. And sometimes it's the receiver's fault for not getting open. Sometimes it's the design. Sometimes it's Matt Ryan just not throwing the dang ball, right? So who knows? Maybe Nick Foles, or maybe they give him the green light, just say, just go gunslinging out there. Just go. If you think you have something, just do it. Because I'm sick and tired of Matt Ryan not doing it. So, maybe we do see this Colts offense, get a little bit more aggressive with Nick Foles. We'll just have to see.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm very interested to see. Yeah, because we talked about it in training camp. Like Matt Ryan compared to Nick Foles, he was getting the ball out quickly. Like he was. And so the fact that Matt Ryan's not doing that, I'm just like, is it going to be even worse with Nick Foles? Yeah. I'm kind of terrified of that, honestly. But, I will say this, at least I have confidence enough that Nick Foles is, mentally he's got it, where Matt Ryan just doesn't. He hasn't this year, in terms of identifying things. Like, I'm wondering if the addition of Nick Foles as a starter, will it change anything on this offense? Because, there's so many free rushers that come after Matt Ryan all the time, where he just did not or would not change the play or, dupe change the protection or whatever it is. Like, will Nick Foles, will you start seeing those things a little bit more, and will the Colts actually be able to handle a blitz? I don't know. Will they actually be able to and actually stop, giving up on 3rd and longs? Will they be able to try to at least try to push the ball down the field? These are things we just haven't seen the Colts do this year, especially as of recent. And I wonder, is it a quarterback issue? Is it a play calling issue? Is it a little bit of both? I don't know. We'll see. I think this will be the true test because you really haven't seen it with either of the two quarterbacks, previous. So will you see it now with Nick Foles? I'm beginning to think it's more of a play calling issue on top of a quarterback issue, but we'll see, I guess. I just want to see them get Pierce and get Pittman more one-on-one opportunities on the 50-50 jump balls. They just have not done that this year. And even they have 2 6'6", 6'7" tight ends. They're not throwing them the ball in the red zone when it matters. So I want to see Jelani Woods go up and just out-muscle a defender. I want to see stuff like that. And I hope that Nick Foles can at least in some capacity do that for this Colts passing offense. But it's going to be a tough test because, the Chargers are right outside of the top 10. They've had some injuries. Without Derwin James, they're still a top 10 defense in terms of, pass defense. So it'll be tough.
Yeah. It's been that way all year, right? Trying to grasp what has been going on with this team. But we got a couple more weeks to figure it out. And then, at the end of the year, then we got a bunch of decisions to make. So,
Yes.
this Colts team in 2023, needless to say, is going to look very different than 2022 Indianapolis. That's for sure.
Let me throw out a scenario to you, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you think the Colts have any of their 3 quarterbacks in their stable right now on their roster in 2023?
I
Any of
believe
them?
they have at least one of them. I believe that they have at least one of them. Me
Who would
personally, I
be
think Nick Foles is gone.
okay?
Me personally, I think Nick Foles will be gone. And then, I think Sam Ellinger might stick around. Might.
Okay.
I can
Yeah,
see that.
if I had to choose one, I would definitely go Sam Ellinger, for sure. But it's kind of like if the Colts truly believe that he had a future in this league, wouldn't they just start him at this point? That's
Yeah,
my question.
right.
So I don't know. I could see a scenario where they roll with 2 quarterbacks next year and they're completely different. They completely just retool that whole room and just start from scratch with a rookie quarterback and maybe add a vet or something like that. I could see them doing something like that potentially, but we'll see. And maybe this is an audition for Nick Foles for next year as the backup quarterback. I don't know. Who's to say? But certainly was a Frank Reich guy. So, maybe he is gone after this year. So but we'll see. But okay, we'll move over now to look at this Charger offense. We already know about Justin Herbert, what he's able to do. Still pains me that the Colts potentially before the DeForest Buckner trade could have attempted to go up and get him. And you just see how good of a quarterback he is. The Colts have had multiple chances to potentially go get a guy. Now, whether the Chargers have listened, maybe not, but regardless, the Chargers are one of the better teams just overall in terms of they're number 12 right now in terms of total offense. And you look at their passing attack, they come in, Derek, at number 2 overall right now in passing yards. 15th in touchdowns. Ironically enough, the same amount of touchdowns thrown as interceptions that they've gotten. So pretty even on that department. But you look at that and they come in running. They're actually not very good at running the football. So it's kind of interesting how the Chargers are really good at passing the football, defending the pass, but really poor at running the football and defending the run. So, yeah, that'll definitely be an interesting one because we know what the Colts can do on the defensive side of things, with Stephon Gilmore, with Isaiah Rodgers, all these guys who definitely did struggle. But, how much blame do you put on them versus what the offense has given them? We've had that debate before. But needless to say, it wasn't their best game a week ago against the Vikings. And Justin Jefferson definitely had himself a day. So, yeah, how are the Colts going to try to limit this Charger offense that has a lot of weapons in a lot of ways that they could beat you?
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be very interesting to see how this Colts defense responds. We saw last week, and there were a couple of interviews that went out where some of the Colts players were potentially throwing shade at the Colts offense for like how they've handled this year versus how the Colts defense has been all year. And again, Cody, I just want to reiterate the Colts defense scored more points on last Saturday than what the Colts offense did. So, and how many times that has been the case this year? Realistically, that should only ever happen once or twice a game at this point. But there's probably been multiple times this year where the Colts defense has either put the offense on their side of the field or has scored a touchdown for them. So, how many times that happened this just in that last game too. I mean, the defense was doing phenomenal. That might have been one of the best defensive performances in the first half of any defense all year. And then sure enough, they got tired. They got put on the field almost the entire second half. And, they were struggling, and things changed up. That defense, it's still a good defense. And they're pretty much still a top 10 passing defense when you look at all things considered and what they have to deal with. So, no doubt in my mind that they will give Justin Herbert and this team a little bit of trouble trying to move down the field. They've given trouble to a lot of teams this year, but the one weapon that definitely concerns me the most, and that is Austin Eckler and the way they're able to get him involved in the offense. We've known that, the Colts defense, especially when trying to stop running backs, especially in the rush and the pass defense category, that has always been extremely tough for them. Feels like once or twice a game, I always see the Colts give up a 20 or 30 yard, slip screen, right? And we know that's a bread and butter thing for the Chargers. So how they respond to that, it's going to be very difficult because, like you said, they don't run the ball very well. So you don't have to put a ton of emphasis on stacking boxes. So you're going to most of the time just bring in a lot of an extra corner, to have some help there. But you're right. It is going to be very difficult because Justin Herbert's a great quarterback, and some of the weapons that they do have, even though they're not at 100%, they still operate in that system really well. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that, especially with what just happened last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think we'll see something of the same in the first half, especially, or the first quarter, or whatever it is. But yeah, this defense, you look at how much they've been on the field this year, how little their offense has done to help them out this year. And it's inevitable, with a 17-game season, this defense is breaking down at this point. Because they've been on the field so much this year, it's catching up to them, I think. I really do think that's the case. When your offense is literally having drives that don't even last a minute off the clock, that's an issue, and your defense is going to struggle. Yes, they struggled last week, and that they need to be better. No doubt about that. But the fact is, they have been on the field so much this year. Their offense has literally done nothing to them. Somehow, they, at least half of the games the defense has won alone. That tells you, man, how good this defense can be. I don't think it's the best defense in the NFL, but I think it's definitely a defense that's a really, really good unit. And definitely a unit that you can win with. No doubt about it. So, yeah, I'll be intrigued to see what they do. I think they can limit Justin Herbert, in the first half. It's just a matter of, can the offense do literally anything to give them a breather on the sideline? And if they can't, unfortunately, I think it's more of the same we're going to see, Derek. And it sucks because, this defense gets ragged because of a lot of the things that are kind of out of their control. So it just sucks to see that. So I'm hoping the offense with Nick Foles at least gets him a little bit more time on the sideline.
Yeah, we've been saying it all year, right? This defense, people want to keep talking about, oh, the defense gives up big plays. Oh, the defense gives up big plays late in games. I wonder why. People always, and people try to say that it's not that, but it is. At the end of the games, you get tired. And also, by the way, again, even if you're not tired, listen, football is such an emotional game that if things aren't going well for you, you can fall apart very quickly because you just don't have any heart for it. And to be honest, when the offense doesn't score, guys on that defensive side, they notice. They get angry. They get tired of it, man. And at some point, you just start saying, "I'm just not dealing with this. I just can't deal with this anymore." I'm sure that's probably some guys' opinions in the locker room right now, and that might be the case. And I don't fault them for it. I wish that it wasn't that way, but I don't fault some of these guys on the defense for feeling the way they do probably about this offense.
Don't doubt. Yeah, no, not at all. I do wonder if this defense is just kind of throwing their hands up and just what else can we do? I don't know what else we can do at this point. And maybe they've kind of just lost some of these guys for this year. They're kind of just not giving up, but they're kind of just well, if we're going to be bad, let's be bad. Let's just get through this season at this point until our offense can actually do something for us. So, yeah, it sucks. It's unfortunate for the defense. I do think they still need a legit number one pass rusher. I think that's the biggest need still for them. But, overall, I think this defense has been better than expected. And I'm excited to see if they can keep this crew together, what they can accomplish in the next couple seasons. So, wanted to also just talk about special teams real fast. Give a special shout out to Chase McLaughlin. He's been fantastic this year for the Colts. He started off, had a few struggles early on, but he has been, it feels like it's been a lifetime ago, Derek, that we even talked about Rodrigo Blankenship and kind of the mishaps he had, because Chase McLaughlin has come in and special teams has had no issues since then. So want to give a special shout out to him. He's definitely one of the top guys that you must bring back next year, in my opinion, with all the instability you had at kicker since Vinatieri hung it up. I think you almost have to bring Chase McLaughlin back. What are your thoughts on him and just the season he's having?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely need to bring him back. No question about it. That is probably the easiest thing in the world to do, is bring Chase McLaughlin back. There has been, I can't recall one game where the game was on the line, he didn't deliver, and we lost because of it. Ironically enough, it's been the complete opposite. There has been multiple games this year where Chase McLaughlin had to kick a field goal to, put us in the reins. And, one of the first games that he had was, against Denver when Mile City won that one. There are a couple others that I can mention, but I mean, he was busy last week. I mean, what, 5 for 5?
Yeah.
With an extra point, a couple extra points here and there. So, he was busy, man. He was busy. So, he's been consistent. I don't remember what his actual numbers are right off the top of the head, but
I got you.
I do definitely know that his kicking percentage has been very solid, and I'm sure Cody's going to give me a number percentage here.
Yes, I will. Give me 1 second
in a few seconds.
Holy cow, he's only 26. I didn't even realize how young he's.
Well, I didn't realize he was that young either.
Yeah, this season he is 27 of 32. His long is a 52-yarder. He is completely perfect on his extra points. 16 of 16. Only 16 extra points he's had to attempt this year, Derek.
Think about that for a hot second. Can you just imagine that? And and at least 2 of those are from at least like 3 or 4 of those are from the defense. I'm sure of it. So defense / special teams.
Absolutely. And the regular season, that's about 84.4% of his field goals he makes, right? He's been
so I mean, you want your kickers making 80+% of their
connects. And really 3 of those are 50 plus, so like, it's not like, he's missing a lot of the knocks were like, oh, he's missing the 40-yarders. He's actually been really good at the 40-yarders this entire season, Derek. He's only missed 1. He's attempted 9. He's made 8 of them. So, and he's been pretty much money from 20 to 49.
Yeah. Like I said, there's been very little that Chase McLaughlin has messed up for us. Like you say, he's been consistent. So yeah, you need to bring him back this next year. 100%. He's brought stability to your kicking game. You feel confident that if you walked him out there and the game was on the line and it's anything within 55 yards, that you feel very confident that Chase McLaughlin can at least give you a good shot. So
yeah, I think, I wasn't sure at first, like, do you bring him back next year? But I think he's your future at kicker, man. Every opportunity he's gotten with the Colts, whether it was back in 2019 or this year, he's come through every single time. He has come through. So, yes, he definitely deserves to be brought back.
And another special teamer that we need to shout out, and we haven't really done it yet, but it's one that definitely needs to, and that's Dallas Flowers.
Yes.
Dallas Flowers, I think, is starting to become your new kick returner. I mean, Cody, ever since he came in against Pittsburgh and that first opening kickoff against Pittsburgh in the second half, ever since then, I don't think I've seen Dallas Flowers get stuffed behind the 30-yard line more than once. Like, it feels like every time he touches the ball, we get to at least the 30. And there's been multiple times he's gotten us to midfield, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, he's been phenomenal. And, Isaiah Rodgers gave that privilege up. He said, hey, let Dallas go out there and do something. I think he's got something. And sure enough, he did. And he showed you, right? Like, I mean, that is enough to say Dallas Flowers deserves a spot on this roster going forward, if unless somebody comes and, offers him a better gig. But I'm very happy with what Dallas Flowers has done. And I'm just going to say this. If he was on a team that had any more competent of an offense, most of the time, those returns that he's giving the Colts would end up in touchdowns. on a
Yeah.
semi-competent offense.
Yeah, it's been a huge find by Ballard and company. Like that was a great undrafted free agent signing. Dallas Flowers, I think the best one, honestly.
Yeah.
This last year, he has been great, and I want to see him more on defense too. I'm interested. He's got the speed.
Yeah.
He definitely does, right?
Mhm.
And so, is he more of like a Isaiah Rodgers kind of find again, like a later round guy that's got some traits that you really like? I'm just intrigued, especially with Kenny Moore banged up, Brandon Faison banged up. Like, give Dallas Flowers more of a run, man. We know what he can do on special teams. It's great. But I just want to see, man, has he got something else at corner? Because if you're able to find him and he was turned out to be a really good corner like Rodgers, I mean, you've solved your future at corner potentially. Like, so I just want to see what you got at him. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it could. There's a chance it could. And so, yeah, I love Dallas Flowers, what he's been able to do. And with the craziest thing is like the Naheem Hines trade opened up this opportunity for Dallas Flowers, I feel like, because I don't know, how much I know Isaiah Rodgers was doing it, but like, would the Colts have even, considered Flowers, or would they have gone with Hines, to kick return or whatever? I don't know. But it's definitely something where I'm really looking forward to what he can provide for this team moving forward. So special teams, man, I tell you what, I hope the Colts keep Bubba Ventrone because he's been fantastic. He's been the only good. I mean, I'll just say his unit's been the best unit all year.
Yeah.
The
And I
defense has
mean,
been really
obviously,
good.
Gus Bradley's unit's been very fantastic for most of the year as well. But you're right. Like the Colts special teams units almost always deliver. And Bubba Ventrone does a fantastic job with it. Kick returns and punt returns, like we always get an occasional block. Again, we had that happen this last week, and it ended up being a touchdown, right? So multiple times that, every year that this Colts special teams always makes some big plays. So you're right. That's definitely something that needs to keep around. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, Flowers also, by the way, he handles the punts as well, just in case people.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
very rarely does he get a chance to do that though.
Yeah, so I love that, and yeah, it's just really sad because like you look at both of these units, they have been above average to great this year, the defense and the special teams, but the offense has been so bad that it literally has just like killed this team this year. So my hope with this team, Derek, and I know we'll talk about this more in the off season. We're kind of getting off topic here. Like you keep a lot of those things that are really good, and you just commit fully this offseason to fixing that offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my thoughts are. But anyway, let's get to score predictions for this game. What do you got for Monday Night Football?
Let's say 28-17 Chargers.
All right, I'm going to go a little higher because the Colts have been allowing a lot of points recently. I'm going to go 35-14 Chargers.
Yeah, you're right. The defense definitely has been allowing a lot more points in the second half over the last few weeks. But I mean, again, I keep saying it, like the Colts offense just don't score, right? Like they don't stay on the field at all in the second half. So, and so that just sucks doing that.
The fact that they've allowed over 70 points the last 2 second halves tells you all you need to know about this, how it's been. So that's why I'm going to go 35. It could be more. We'll see. I just have no faith this offense is going to help this defense. Unfortunately, no matter who the quarterback is at this point, this offense is completely broken, and it just sucks. But, yeah, okay, cool. So we both, I think, have the Chargers winning this one pretty handily. So, guys, let me know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts about this game, Monday Night Football. Hopefully the Colts don't embarrass themselves for a third straight primetime game.
I'll be at that game, by the way. So
okay.
If anybody wants to say hi, just shout me out. I'll be there.
Yeah. That'd be sweet. Yeah, be sure to check that out. Be sure to say hi to Derek on Monday Night Football. Derek, I just got to ask you this, man. No matter how bad it gets, please don't lose your voice. Don't scream that loud. Maybe you've just gotten to the point where you're just done.
My brother and I are going to be there. Like, listen, we'll be excited if something good happens, but I'm getting to the point where I almost expect nothing good to happen. So,
even if they're up by
listen, we have had some really bad weeks. Okay. And, And you know what? I'm actually hoping for something really good because I have gotten the whirlwind from everyone this week and weekend from what just happened last Saturday. So
Same.
I would love for something good to happen.
But not too good because we want the Colts to draft top 5. So I'm
I'm
sorry.
not
I
going to
can't
say that. I'm
I
not going to
have
say
to.
that. I know everyone else is wanting it, but I'm not. I can't willfully say I want us to lose.
I tell you what, we're recording this on a Wednesday night. So depending when this gets out, if it's Thursday morning, if it's Thursday night, or if it's Friday, at that point we'll know if the Colts are eliminated. Because if Jacksonville wins, the Colts are done.
Yeah. So
they're
only way
out.
the Colts somehow can still win their division. Just off a quick tangent, real quick. Only way that happens. There's only one way it happens. If the Colts win out, the Titans lose out, and the Jaguars lose every game except for the last game against the Titans. So if the Jaguars lose 2 of their last 3 but their one win comes against the Titans and the Titans lose out and we win out, then we win the freaking division. Somehow, some way, it's still possible. So
God bless the AFC South, man. Wow. Of all the years where just completely dog crap, like this is the one year the AFC South is for the taking.
Yeah.
And we just are like, nah, not this year. Nope. We're just going to be even worse than we were last year. So whatever, man.
If our offense was even last year's offense, we would still probably be winning this division.
It's crazy to me that the Colts are number 6 overall in the draft position, but they could still win their division. That's insane. Like,
oh man, that's gonna be a fun topic.
I actually want Jacksonville to win because I'm sick and tired of Tennessee.
Yeah, I kind of want Jacksonville to win. Go Jacksonville. You know, and you know what? Trevor Lawrence has been looking fantastic. You know, like I'm telling you, man. I know some people don't want to hear it, but he's starting to look like the franchise guy now. Like literally over the last 6 weeks. There have maybe been only a handful of quarterbacks that have been better than Trevor Lawrence. And, you know, and he doesn't even have his best weapon yet. Like they don't even have Calvin Ridley yet. And he's doing what he's doing right now. So if he takes that momentum going into next offseason with what he's going to get and what the roster they're going to improve on defense, that Jaguars team, it's going to be scary here in the next few years, Cody, if Trevor Lawrence keeps playing the way that he is.
Jacksonville right now they have the best position right now for the future. I mean, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, every other team doesn't have their future quarterback right now.
Yep.
So Jacksonville's got it, and he's played well. So, yep. Sadly, it might be depending how the Colts do. You know, depending if they get a guy and he turns out good. Jacksonville could be running this division for a while, unfortunately.
Potentially. Think about that for a hot second.
But they are the Jaguars.
And then they trade everyone away because they don't want to spend the money on him for some weird reason.
Yeah, Jaguars will Jaguar. We already know that.
Facts.
So. All right, cool. Well, that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate all the support. And as always, guys, go Colts.